people that are going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame this evening. But before we get to that, we certainly would like to make note of all those that are so generous and so kind and have anteed up, as they say, for our Hall of Fame induction program. These are our sponsors, and they are above and beyond. So, as we mention all these incredible people, I want you to certainly hold your applause until they've all been introduced, because the first thing I'm going to do is introduce to you the National Multicultural Western Heritage Museum Board of Directors. So I don't know if you're do we want them to stand? Can you stand? Or still, if you're not still eating, we just like you to stand. So I'm going to start with, and hold your applause until I get them all introduced, and they're all standing. We'll give them one well-deserved collective round of applause. We'll start with our president, R.T. Burton, Jim Austin, our vice president and museum historian, R.T. Burton. We've got Dr. Jocelyn Barnett, secretary. Patrice Burton is our treasurer. Dr. Camelia Rigsby is our director. Nellie Serrano is the director. And Gloria Austin is the executive director. Let's give it up for all of these incredible folks. And thanks for all you continue to do and allow us to bring this to fruition tonight. This is really, really very, very special. And of course, they're the ones that have knocked on some doors and gone around town here in the great state of Texas and said, you know what, we would like to honor our incredible inductees this year, but we have to have a little support to do so. So these folks have ended up with their wallets and their support, and we really appreciate them all. And again, I'm going to ask you all to hold your applause until I've had them all recognized. Our gold sponsors, Conrail, Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo, Total Energies, Visit Fort Worth. Our silver sponsors, HEB and Wrangler. Our bronze sponsors, BNSF Railway, City Center Fort Worth, Frost, Kelly Hart, TCU, Texas Health Harris Methodist Hospital Fort Worth. Our media sponsor, Jim Austin Online. And our table sponsors, Jesse Hall family and friends, John R. Jr. family and friends, Shorter family and friends, Caston Richard Sr. family and friends. Our patrons, Bill Pickett Rodeo Organization, and Susan and Max Pointer. We also would like to acknowledge and certainly thank the folks who traveled to witness their family and friends be inducted this evening. The family and friends of Sharon Braxton, the family and friends of Frederick Crump, the family and friends of Murdoch, family and friends of Ralph F. Logan, and the family and friends of John A. Prater. We appreciate everyone's support, and as I have often said in my keynote, live your life as a go-getter, but share your life as a go-giver. And that's what all of these people have done. So let's really give it up and thank them for their generosity. All right, now as we move on with our program, ladies and gentlemen, the first thing I'm going to do is tell you about the Hall of Fame and the Alumni Recognition and Memorial Moment of Silence. And to do so, I would like to ask Board Director Dr. Camelia Rigsby to please come forward and share the podium with me for a moment. Here she comes. Doesn't she have the greatest looking, I told her before, isn't that the greatest looking hat in the world? She looks great.
Thank you. I've been trying to figure out how to hug you all with this hat on. I've been running into everybody. Growing up, we used to say when you came out and you were really sharp. I mean, like really sharp. We used to say you were suited and booted. And I feel like literally tonight, you all are suited and booted. You look beautiful out there. So as it's been said, my name is Camelia Rigsby. I have the honor of serving on the board. And I also have the honor tonight to help us pause and honor those on whose shoulders we stand. And so we are going to remember two beloved members of our Hall of Fame who have transitioned since our last ceremony. Nathan Jean Whitaker Sanders, affectionately known as Mama Sugar, inducted in 2014, and Taylor Hall Jr., the unforgettable Bailey's Prairie Kid, inducted in 2019. Their spirits live on in our laughter, in our stories, and in the legacy the museum protects. So if you will join me in just a moment, and we'll have a moment of silence for them. Thank you. Now, with great, deep gratitude, we want to recognize our living legends, because we have several of them in our midst tonight, our Hall of Fame alumni. Charlie Sampson, if you would please stand. The first Black cowboy in the World Championship in 2000 rodeo, and part of our very first class at the Hall of Fame in 2003. Mr. R.T. Burton, historian, author, and tireless champion of the Black West, inducted in 2008. We also have Harold Cash, Abe Morris, Scott Murray, and Tony Brubaker, and the dynamic duo in our visionaries, Jim and Gloria Austin, all of whom have had such a commitment to this museum, and their mission is unmatched. Each of you embodies the spirit of the West, bold, resilient, and trailblazing. So on behalf of the Board of Directors and this grateful community that we have here, thank you. Thank you for preserving the past, inspiring the present, and lighting a path forward. So let's continue to ride for the legacy and continue to carry our rich history forward. Thank you.
Thanks, Camelia. Well done. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to that time of the evening. Our 2025 Hall of Fame induction ceremony is about to begin. Now, inductee videos and comments from the inductees and posthumous inductee representatives as well will all take place here on the stage. What we're going to do is we're going to show you a video of each one of the inductees, and then they will come forward and say hello to, are you both going to come up here? Yeah. Okay, that's what I thought. And so that's what we will do. So here's the videotape. Okay, you can see one at each side of the room. Okay, we are all set to go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, our first inductee is Sharon Nadine Braxton, and posthumously will be inducted this evening, and then we will call forward Michelle Nelson. So please watch the video screen.
Sharon Nadine Braxton was born in 1964 in Charleston, West Virginia. As a little girl, she was fascinated by horses, dreaming of the day she'd have one of her own. After moving to Los Angeles in the late 1960s, a visit to Griffith Park Stables changed everything. Sharon rented a horse, and from that moment, her lifelong journey began. Watching women barrel race at Dominguez Hill's stable, she told herself, if they can do it, so can I.
What was Sharon Braxton like back in the day? And this lady said, fearless. I was fearless. You know, honey, I eat trick balls, okay? That's hanging off the side of it with one hand. I was English and Western, a teen pin. If it was a sport, I wanted to experience and see what it was like.
With her horse Target, she performed in a PRCA rodeo exhibition and became one of the first African-American women to register with the Women's Professional Rodeo Association. In the 1980s, she produced her first rodeo, Ebony and Ivory, and soon partnered with Lou Vasson, founder of the Bill Pickett Invitational Rodeo, helping bring more black riders into the arena. In 2019, Sharon was honored at the first annual G-Look Cowboy Ball with a Lifetime Achievement Award for her impact on the equine industry. After retiring from barrel racing, her love for horses endured. Horses are massive animals, she said, but they are kind-hearted if you treat them right. Even after her passing in 2024, Sharon Braxton continues to inspire new generations. A trailblazer whose spirit still rides on in every hoofbeat.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sharon and Dave Braxton, posthumously inducted tonight, and we're going to call forward Michelle Nelson. Michelle, would you please come forward?
Hi everyone, I just wanted to say thank you for inducting my aunt. She was quite a trailblazer. She did try to learn everything she could about riding horses, and she also wanted to teach everyone about riding, and especially anyone, of us African American people. She wanted to make sure that we knew of our history. So I just want to say thank you so much for inviting us and conducting us.
Would you like to recognize your family?
Okay. So my daughter Alexandra is here. That is her great niece. And then her granddaughter Shaylee is here as well. And then Charlie Sampson is also a family member of ours, so he's here also to represent us.
Well done, Michelle. Thanks. Your aunt would be most proud. I trust she's looking down right now with a smile on her face. Our first inductee tonight, so thank you so much, Michelle. Next, ladies and gentlemen, we move on to our second inductee of the seventh that will be inducted tonight here at the Forward Club. So watch the video screen. This is Frederick Crump.
Frederick Crump stands as a living embodiment of Western heritage, a man devoted to the land, his animals, and the traditions that shaped him. His journey began with compassion, rescuing horses from kill pens, nurturing them back to health, and finding them loving homes. Each horse became a reminder of second chances and quiet strength. The next leg of his journey started with a horse named Red. From that partnership, Frederick learned the hard but rewarding lessons of working with animals that carried both scars and spirit. His determination pushed him to explore all corners of horsemanship, but it was mounted archery that captured his attention. And then, cowboy-mounted shooting that captured his heart. Frederick took his first lesson in late 2019, and only months later, competed in his first event. When he advanced to level 2, Frederick found his perfect partner in Cody's Bear Eagle. He'll race, slow down for obstacles, and I can drop the rein and shoot behind me. He's an amazing horse. Success came fast. 6 buckles, payouts, and a trophy saddle soon followed. Frederick uses his voice to uplift others. As a guest on the Young Black Equestrians podcast, he helped to shine a light on the culture, history, and achievements of black horsemen and horsewomen. Through those conversations, they advocate for diversity, equity, and the power of representation in the equestrian world. And true to the cowboy code, he gives back. serving with the Tarrant County Sheriff's Posse, carrying on the Western spirit through community service and mentorship. Frederick Crump is a symbol of resilience, pride, and representation. A reminder that the spirit of the West belongs to everyone with the courage to ride their own trail.
Ladies and gentlemen, our second inductee, Frederick Crump. We're going to get our picture taken first and get the award, and then we'll hear from Frederick.
And that was cool. It was neat. It was amazing. It was an amazing opportunity and amazing. Thank you all so much for being here. I was talking to the Boy Scouts earlier. I'm an Eagle Scout, and I'm from Upshur County, and I was the first Black Eagle Scout in Upshur County. And everywhere I go, they're like, "Oh, you're a Black Eagle Scout. Oh, you're a Black Cowboy." No, I'm just a cowboy. I'm just a guy that likes to ride horses. This is an amazing honor. Thank y'all so much. Thank you to my family for being here, my lovely mother, my grandmother, who's my rock, my champion, and my wife, who's my best friend and my teammate. I was getting ready to go a few years ago, and we had a little argument, just like cowboys and blacks do. And she said, "I'm not gonna help you." And I said, "Fine, I need your help." So I finally get there, and I don't have my chaps. I don't have anything. So thank you so much for being here, being with me, doing my work.
That's great stuff, Frederick. Your wife, your mom, and your grandmother is here too? Where's Grandma? Unbelievable. Oh, stand up and say hello. That's your grandson. How about that, huh? Boy, talk about a female trifecta right there. Wife, mom, and grandmother. Very impressive. Well, congratulations, Frederick, our second inductee. Now we move on to our third inductee. So watch the video screens as we salute Jesse Hall.
His name is Jesse C.R. Hall, though most folks in the rodeo world know him better as Charlie Reno. This is not just his story. It's the story of every black cowboy who fought for space in the arena when no one else was saving a spot. C.R. was born in Vicksburg, Mississippi, but raised in the heart of New York City. He first stepped into the rodeo arena in 1963, but the path it took to get there was anything but traditional. But tradition doesn't always leave room for men like him. They had to make their own way. He took on the name Charlie Reno. Charlie, his middle name, and Reno, the name of the first horse he ever rode. He soon became a fixture in the arena, competing in bareback riding, steer wrestling, and bulldogging. He fought his way into the top spots and competed with everything he had. The Cowtown Rodeo became a second home, a place where he won the events he entered, a place where he won the respect of the crowd, but most important, a place where he earned the reputation as a world-class cowboy. In 1980, he carved his name into the history books, by becoming the first black cowboy to win both the bareback riding and all-around titles in the American Rodeo Association. But that victory wasn't just for him. It was a moment for every black cowboy who has had to work twice as hard to get noticed. It was also a moment that said, "We belong." In the 1980s, Charlie stepped out of the arena and into production, creating Hall and Sons Rodeo. We took the rodeo to the people, New York, Philly, D.C., places where they hadn't seen much of the cowboy tradition. Hall and Sons weren't just putting on shows, they were building bridges. They were committed to making rodeo inclusive, to giving black cowboys the platform they had earned and deserved. And the audiences? They responded and saw that rodeo was not just for the folks out west. It was for anyone who had the guts to get into the arena. He says, "Rodeo has given me a life and a legacy, and I am proud of the work I've done both inside the arena and out. And if my story can stand as an example of what is possible, then I'm honored to be part of the conversation."
Ladies and gentlemen, my favorite inductee, give it up for Jesse Hall.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. My name is Jesse C. R. Hall. Reno, the R is after my horse, and my full name is Jesse C. Hall. Well, coming from the East Coast was a tough road to follow, especially with the black cowboys from the West that know me now. All right, thank you. Most of the cowboys that I know today, they know me because I used to rodeo with them. They're all out west. I know Gary Richards, and I'm from the city, Harlem. There were no cowboys in Harlem. And the same one, I had Harlem, I had black cowboys in the west, and I had Caucasian people all after me at the same time. But I proved myself and I kept going. And didn't turn back. You know, the pain was there, the injuries were there. And I started at a late age. When I won the championship in 1980, I was 38 years old. Beating kids 19, 20, because the love I had for being a cowboy. All I did was watching on television when I was a kid, and that ingrained in myself later on. But I could go on all night and tell you the things that happened in my life, but that's all behind me. What happened was the end results. Is if you need something and love something, you don't have to work harder than everybody else. Stay longer and be more determined. It's the only way you're going to get it. But like I said, I want to thank the committee, the directors, the vice president, the president for inviting us down to this occasion. And I want to thank all you guys for coming, because without you guys, we're not us. It's that short. So that's about all I have to say that you can take, because I can be up here all day long talking. Thank you. one more thing before I go. Over, mostly at table 5, I have my family and people that know me from day one. You know, we grew up in the Cowtown Rodeo in Cowtown, New Jersey. And that's one of the famous points of that is that's the longest weekend rodeo running in the world. Yeah. And that's Cowtown, New Jersey, where there's not supposed to be horses. There's plenty of horses and plenty of cowboys, but we just don't get out enough or big enough all at one time for people to recognize us. So that's why it becomes a little bit of a feat if you live in the East Coast. But if you love something, you're going to go through it. And once again, I want to thank you for your time and your effort for coming out here to endorse all the inductees. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesse. Congratulations. Isn't that something? New Jersey to the great state of Texas. And he said in 1980, he was only 38 years old. How's your math? He's 83. How about that, folks? Pretty good stuff. Congratulations, Jesse, our third inductee. And now we move on to our fourth inductee, John Harp Jr. Watch the video screen.
John Harp Jr. was born in 1961 in Salem County, New Jersey, to John Sr. and Carrie Harp. Not long after, the family settled in Cowtown, home of the world's oldest weekly rodeo. His father worked for the Cowtown Rodeo, and the family lived right on the grounds. Next door were his cousins, Gene, Jimmy Lee, and Willie Walker, all accomplished riders who helped spark John's lifelong passion for the sport. Growing up in that environment, there was never a shortage of stock to ride or heroes to emulate. In secret, John and his cousin Abe Morris practiced by riding calves and cows left overnight at the sale barn, sharpening their skills the only way they knew how, by getting on and hanging tight. As a young man, John traveled the East Coast, competing on junior bulls and eventually riding alongside the professionals. He won enough money to qualify for the circuit finals 2 years in a row, but without a permit, he couldn't compete. Once he did, in 1981, he earned his first of many qualifications for the first Frontier Circuit Finals, finishing 3 times as runner-up and capturing the 1993 Circuit Championship. Among his many career highlights, winning the bull riding at the 1981 National Invitational Rodeo in Washington, D.C., qualifying for the 1994 Dodge National Circuit Finals, and taking home 3 Cowtown Rodeo Championships. After retiring from competition, John continued to give back, producing bull riding events across the Northeast and even in Athens, Greece, while teaching clinics and visiting schools and hospitals to share his love for rodeo. John Harp Jr., a fearless competitor, a proud ambassador, and a true son of Cowtown.
Ladies and gentlemen, our fourth inductee of the evening, John Harp Jr.
have anything witty to say. Right? Yeah, right? First of all, I'd like to thank God for having us all, letting us all be here. Thank Jim and Gloria for making this all happen. I'm going to say it again, I don't feel worthy, but I'm going to take it. I'm going to accept it. One of the things I like about the sport of rodeo is the traveling, the money that you won, meeting the people that I got to meet and still am meeting tonight. I'm going to meet a lot more people. I would like to point out one thing, my wife Beth, who got introduced to the Western lifestyle through me and meeting all my friends. You see the 3-4 tables of family, extended family, and friends that showed up here is pretty awesome. I would like to give a special thanks to my cousin, Jimmy Lee Walker. Only a little quick story, I can tell some stories. My cousin Jimmy Lee, when I was starting out, riding local, I don't know, one year I was kind of quit riding. I didn't know whether I really wanted to continue riding or not. And he was competing in 3 events, or 2 events, riding bulls and bareback horses, plus fighting bulls. He asked me, he said, John, what do you want to do? Do you want to ride or not? So he said, I guess that's, he paid my entry fees all year long. He said, just, give me some money back when you win something. So I was the 7-second champ that year. I was drawn perfect, but if they gave a vote for riding 7 seconds, I won it. But so I did end up winning my first check on this one particular bull, and I went to give Jim Lee his share, and he didn't take it. And I think about that a lot. Who knows what would have happened if he didn't do that for me? So I would like to give him a special thank you. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
All right, there he goes, John Hart Jr. All right, we move on to inductee number 5. Ladies and gentlemen, watch the video screen for Murdoch.
Ralph Logan was born in 1892 near Cottonwood, California. And in 1907, his father, Richmond, moved the family to Palo Cedro and started a cattle ranch. Ralph and his brothers became strong ranchers under their father's guidance. But it was Ralph who stayed, devoting his life to the 500-acre ranch. School never held his attention. He preferred the saddle to the classroom and soon became a true cowboy, broad-brimmed hat, boots, and leather cuffs. Summers meant long cattle drives into the Lassen Forest and Montgomery Creek. When the United States entered World War I, Ralph enlisted, serving in the 365th Infantry of the 92nd Division. He was wounded in a German gas attack at the Battle of the Marne, and after 6 months recovering in France, he was awarded the Purple Heart and returned home to ranch life. In 1933, Ralph married Regina Holland, and they had a son, Richmond. It was a marriage that was short-lived. After his father's death in 1944, he continued raising cattle and pigs until his retirement. In 1948, he married Gladys Haskell, his partner in ranch life, often driving ahead of the herd to warn motorists during cattle drives. Nearly 60 years after the war, Ralph finally received his Purple Heart. 3 uniformed officers crossed his backyard and pinned the medal to his striped work shirt. With quiet humility, Ralph simply said, "Thank you." Ralph Logan passed away in 1981 and was laid to rest in Redding, California. He left behind generations who carry on his legacy of hard work, courage, and devotion to the land.
Ralph Frederick Logan, yeah, posthumously inductee. And I'm told that we're going to have Emmanuel Williams come up. Is that right? Come on up, Emmanuel.
Hey, how you doing, sir? Good to be here. Good to be here. Come on over here. This is a picture taking time. You get the picture there. All right, everybody? Oh, one more. Turn around. All right. Okay.
I think I probably own the honor of being the oldest person here, but
How old are you?
94. What I would like to say about Uncle Ralph, and he was my uncle, he was my mother's brother. I remember him because each year I lived in San Francisco and we would go up to, quote, the ranch where the Logan property was. And that's where Ralph carried out his role as a raiser of cows, pigs, and when I would visit, I would always want to go over to Uncle Ralph's house. He would take me out. He was the one that taught me how to milk a cow. And he would take me hunting on the property of the ranch. And so I developed a keen relationship with Uncle Ralph, and he was a very important person to me. When my family was staying at the ranch in 1971, 72, while I was in Vietnam, Uncle Ralph was the one who would take my children out. Now, I have two of my boys here tonight, but he would take them out on the tractor and ride them around the property. And so he has been, for a long time, a very special person in my life. And so I'm privileged to be able to write the story of his life and also to be here to see him honored. He did not involve himself so much in competitive riding, but he raised cattle, and if you raise cattle in California, it usually means that you have to take them on a cattle drive in the summer up to where the pastures are. And so that was an annual event in the Logan family, when all the boys, the three boys were there and my grandfather. They would take 100 or 200 head of cattle up Highway 44 in California to Mount Lassen Park, and that's where they would pasture. And that means, I'm thinking, going up the highway. And at night they would stop and find a place for the cows to stay, and then the next morning they would take off and go up, continue on. So he was a working cowboy. He knew every aspect of what it was to raise cattle and also hogs. He also had a So Ralph came over to his parents' house, and the dog would stay out in the corral, and I went out there and attempted to make friends with the dog. Uncle Ralph said, "Leave my dog alone." He says, "I want him to be me. I don't want him to be no pet." And that was my last relationship with the dog. But he was a figure. He didn't talk a lot, but what he said had truth to it. He worked hard to accomplish what needed to be done in order to raise cows and to maintain the property that belonged to him. So I remember him. Oh, one other story I want to say about Uncle Ralph. As was mentioned in the biographical information, he was drafted in 1917, went into the Army and served with the 365th Infantry and ended up in France during the war. And as was reported, he was gassed when the Germans attacked with poison gas. He was told to go back to the aid station where he could receive some medical attention. But he tells the story, and I say, I heard the story, he told it. He said he got back to the aid station and he saw all those sick and dying men. He said, "This is no place for me." And he turned around and came back to and joined his unit. And as a result of that, Ralph always talked with a hoarse voice because he still suffered from the effects of that poison gas attack. But once again, he was a man's man. He was a cowboy's cowboy. That was his life. He lived it to the fullest, and he had no regrets when he died. So I'm glad that he is being recognized. I'm glad for the opportunity to be able to be here, also with my two sons, but I have to say this, more importantly, we have the grandson and the great-granddaughter of Ralph Logan here tonight, and if they will wave their hands or stand up. And a final fitting, the great-granddaughter has a horse. Okay, yeah?
I just want you to know that Amanda will be appearing at the Comedy Corner in Fort Worth tomorrow. 94 years old? So you were 2 years old after the Great Depression, huh?
I went with depression, baby. I asked my folks why they didn't have any more. They said they couldn't afford any.
How about that? A depression baby, and his parents had no more after Emmanuel, because they said they wouldn't be able to afford it after the Great Depression. Isn't that something? Well, I'll tell you what, Emmanuel, Ralph is mighty proud of what he just sat and watched you do. Looking down, most proud. So.
I'm sure that he would be.
Well, he should be. Well done, thank you. All right. Well, we got a little out of order on the videos and everything, so now we're going to go back to Murdoch. Is that right? You got Murdoch next? Okay, go for it.
Murdoch, known across Chicago as the man with no first name, cuts an unforgettable figure. A black cowboy riding his horse along the South Shore lakefront, guiding traffic with a nod. explaining to curious officers, "It's perfectly legal to ride a horse in Chicago, as long as you follow the rules." For more than 3 decades, Murdoch has led a quiet revival of the city's lost equestrian spirit through his Broken Arrow Horseback Riding Club, one of the last of its kind near Chicago. At 73, he still rides daily, driven by peace, purpose, and pride. His story began on Chicago's South Side, where his father ran a small print shop near Washington Park. In return for helping out, Murdoch earned riding lessons at the park's old stable and found his lifelong calling. Inspired by Thurl Latting, Chicago's first black rodeo star and one of his high school mentors, Murdoch saw that cowboy life wasn't about race, it was about heart. After a stint as a police officer, he saved enough to buy his first horse, a golden palomino named Famous. In 1989, on Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, he founded Broken Arrow, choosing the date to symbolize peace and purpose. Today, Murdoch's greatest joy is introducing city kids to horses. "Adults ride with fear," he jokes. "Kids ride with freedom." Many come from neighborhoods where violence and stress are part of daily life. "I just try to show them another way," he says. Out here, the horse lifestyle replaces the street lifestyle, building patience, trust, and pride. Today, more than 100 riders call Broken Arrow home. They compete, they teach, they ride together, keeping Chicago's cowboy legacy alive. "When I'm on a horse," Murdoch says softly, "time disappears." A man of peace, purpose, and pride. Murdoch rides for all who came before, and all of those still to come.
All right, our next inductee, Murdoch, come on up.
Giving honor to God in my life, I just want to tell you all look good, but I look better for the time. Unfortunately, like everybody else, they came up here unprepared to just poke off the top of their head. I'm not that good. So if you could bear with me, I'd just like to read what I wrote in hopes that it's acceptable. First of all, ladies and gentlemen, and distinguished guests and friends, what is the Hall of Famer? A Hall of Famer is more than just a title. It is a symbol of excellence, and an honor reserved for those who have achievements, dedication, and impact have left a permanent mark on their field. It means that their name will forever stand among the most accomplished and respected people in history. Today, we're gathered to honor several people past and present who undoubtedly have built a legacy supported by a devoted circle of friends, family, and colleagues who have helped them What makes a story more impelling? It is that many of us never set out to chase a spotlight. Instead, just focus on the job at hand, serving others and lifting up people who are around us. And I'm sure, like myself, having come from humble beginnings while earning the respect of others, peers nationwide, and during this time to show that determination, integrity, sorry, I got that right, and heart are the true marks of greatness. My family, for various reasons, are inducted into the Hall of Fame. My brother has a group called Mother's Finest out of Atlanta, Georgia, rock and roll group. His name is Glenn Murdoch, his wife is Joyce Kennedy, and his son is Dion. And along with the other group, they got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Atlanta, Georgia. Also, I have a cousin by the name of Andre Moore, who went to Loyola University playing basketball. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame. And now look at me. I'm being inducted into the Hall of Fame. I do not take this episode of my life lightly. And now on Thursday, October 16, 2025, here at the National Multicultural Western Heritage Museum and Hall of Fame, here in Fort Worth, Texas, I am so very proud to say thank you, you and your organization, Mr. and Mrs. Austin, for this incredible honor now to officially be inducted into the Hall of Fame with prestigious legends that I've known about. Just to name a few of them, there were people like Tex Williams. These are people that I knew of, some I knew personally. Harry Belafonte, Danny Glover, Sammy Davis Jr., Sidney Poitier, Roy Rogers and James Beckworth, Jamie Foxx, Kathy Williams, Charlie Pride, Bass Reeves, Glenn Turman, Mary Fields, Meredith Digman, and the legendary Bill Pickett and Ballsy Icahart, Herb Jeffries, Meredith Digman, Lou Vassan, Leon Coffey, Fred Whitfield, Joe Beavers, Art Burton. And the last person that I met on this list, the beautiful and awesome Ms. Patricia Kelly. I just want to say thank you, and thank you. One more time.
All right, congratulations, Murdoch. Thanks so much for being here in the great city of Fort Worth, Texas, and congratulations. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have yet another posthumous inductee, and we're delighted to welcome John Arthur Prather into the Hall of Fame. So please watch the videotape.
John Prather was a born cattleman, a rancher his whole life. He didn't look like a revolutionary, but by the end, he'd take on the U.S. government and win. His family came to New Mexico when it was still desert. At 9, Prather bought 2 calves from his father. By 1903, he and his brother Owen were running their own herd on Otero Mesa, dry country beneath the Sacramento Mountains. They dug trenches, dammed creeks, and finally struck water. It paid off. Prather built up 200 sections of what he called the finest dammed grass in New Mexico. He bred horses, raised cattle, even supplied mules to the army in both world wars. He'd earned his peace, but peace wasn't coming. In 1956, the government seized 28,000 acres for a missile range. They offered Prather over $100,000 to leave. He refused. The standoff came on August 7, 1957. 3 armed U.S. Marshals blocked him on the trail. Prather didn't have his Winchester. All he had was a pocket knife. It was enough. He told them he wasn't leaving. Come missiles, hell, or high water. Reporters swarmed in. Cameras rolled. Finally, when Prather suggested an old-fashioned shootout, the marshals backed off. The court gave in. Prather was allowed to stay in his home with 15 acres. In truth, he kept running cattle across all 28,000. He held no grudges and often invited passing soldiers to the house for brisket, beans, and a dip in the cool water of the steel tank. In 1965, John Prather was laid to rest just feet from his ranch house, still holding his ground. John Prather proved that being a cowboy is well beyond working livestock. It is about strength of character, integrity, and true grit.
Ladies and gentlemen, John Arthur Prather, posthumously inducted tonight, and the gentleman that is going to receive this Hall of Fame award, right here to my right, Mike Gaba, his great-grandson. Let's put it up. Come on, give it up. I got that right, didn't I? Great-grandson? Oh, that's great to have you here. Thanks so much. Congratulations. Thank you.
Well, thank you for being here. I do have to make one correction, though, on the film. And it's a common misconception, was that Grandpa John was buried next to his wife. Well, his wife's name was Rose, and they had a very contentious divorce back in 1924. So he lost everything. His brother and his mother had to buy the ranch on the courthouse steps in order to save him. And then he spent another 10 years buying the ranch back from them. So when he was getting close to his deathbed, we asked, of course, what he wanted for his services, what he was looking for. And he said, well, come and visit me at the grave. Just sprinkle a little horse crap somewhere on there. He said, but don't, and my grandmother's name was Rose. He said, but don't bring any roses. I've had one rose too many. So to this day, we just bring a little horse crap. Because we know he'd appreciate that. But of course, you've read his profile, hopefully, and all I can offer you is some little personal anecdotes so you get an idea of who he was. The Army would come, and I can remember as a small child, the Army would come, they'd block the roads, the reporters would have to fly in and land at our landing field. And he would often, oddly enough, for a man born in 1884, he had use and knowledge of the media. Because when he knew they were coming, he would go the back way on a mule and then make a ride available and then go into the one phone that was available in the town of Oro Grande to call the press and say, guess who's coming to dinner? And so they would arrive to film the Army coming in, which helped boost his case. So he was using media even for a 81-year-old, octogenarian. So a few personal anecdotes. Of course, the Army tried coercion. They even picked him up one time in a helicopter and took him down to Fort Bliss to show him all their new equipment and say, now this is what we're trying to do, John. We're trying to save the country, for God's sake. So he saw that there was a complete parade of missiles and things like that, and he was quite impressed. They flew him back to the ranch house, and he coerced the pilot. He said, "Can you go about 100 miles more? Because I want to check on some cows out there." So he made it work for him while he was doing some cows in a far pasture. And when they landed back in front of the house, he told the pilot, he says, here's $5. He was giving him a tip. And the pilot said, "Oh, sir, we can't do that. We can't take tips." And Grandpa John said, "Oh, I saw those new toys your boss bought. You're going to need the money. You're really going to need it." So he always said, the only thing you can promise in life, you may not have money, you may not have love, but you got faith and you have values, and that's the only thing you can count on. The only thing. And to that point, to wrap it up, his granddaughter, my great Aunt Rose, is missing tonight. She was going to be here with me. She loved Grandpa John, and she was really hoping to be here. But the rest of the family was there by her side. She just passed 5 minutes ago. And, she knew you guys were here. And that's made all the difference. She lasted long enough to see it. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Now, where's my wine? All right.
Well, I don't have a lot to say after that. I'm so sorry. Let's all bow our heads for just 5 seconds. Keep her in our thoughts and prayers. Thank you, Mike, so very much. And certainly our congratulations to John Arthur Prager and the posthumous inductee here. As we move on to our final inductee of the evening, a posthumously inductee, Caston Richard Sr. Please watch the video screen.
Richard Caston, known to everyone as Shorty. Shorty was more than a man. He was a legend, a pioneer, a friend whose laughter filled arenas, a patriarch whose strength shaped generations, and a cowboy whose spirit could never be broken. Born in 1926 in Ville Platte, Louisiana, Shorty was the oldest of 11. Responsibility came early, forged in the fields and pastures where he learned hard work, resilience, and respect for the land. And when destiny called, he answered, meeting Rose, Mama Toot Roy at a rodeo. Their whirlwind romance became a lifelong partnership, raising 8 children and building a legacy of love. Shorty's life was one of grit and vision, from ranches to oil fields to running his own shop as a mechanic. He built with his hands and his heart. But it was in the rodeo where his true legacy thundered. In 1973, he founded the Southern Cowboy Rodeo Association. As president, he opened doors that had long been closed, welcoming barrel racers, empowering youth, creating opportunities where none had existed. He didn't just talk about change, he made it happen.
So it's just that simple. You gotta wanna do anything to do it. And if you wanna do it and be good at it, you can do it.
He was a fervent supporter of the Northeastern Trail Riders Association of Houston. And on the trail, Shorty was unmistakable. His voice carried like a song. His van, his music, his presence. They led the way from Beaumont to Houston, igniting joy, excitement, and pride in everyone who followed. Richard Shorty Caston lived with purpose. Your boots left an unforgettable imprint on this world.
Ashton Richard Sr., posthumous inductee tonight, and we're delighted to welcome Mercedes Richard.
First, I want to give honor and thanks to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for putting me here to talk to inductees, former inductees, and family and friends. Wow, been a long time coming. My dad, our dad, he was such a hero and a legend around the Houston area, Beaumont, Port Arthur. He was the president of the Southern Cavalry Rodeo Association, and we all came through it. We all came through it. All my brothers. Well, it's 8 of us, the 5 youngest. He brought us a horse named Buckshot. And we learned everything on this little horse, the Welch. And we learned we bucked him, we roped off of him. We would try to run down and the dog was still on him. And we all became champions, you know, and he was a very honorable man. Not just a hero and a legend, but to everyone that he talked to, they fell in love with him. I'll tell you something else. If you walk up to him, any one of you guys walk up to him and finish shake his hand, you better be ready. You better be ready. You better have a firm grip, because he'll make you go down to your knees. But he always said, when you shake a man's hand, you look at him in the eyes and talk to him. He said, if you're walking down the side of the road and you have eye-to-eye contact with anybody, no matter who they are, you're supposed to speak. You're supposed to speak. If they speak to you or not, you've done your job. But, wow. My dad done a lot of things that a lot of people wouldn't understand. But he was a family man. He loved all his kids and grandkids that you've seen on the film. And he wouldn't do it, he'd do anything for them. But one thing I can say, he had a lot of cowboys that came through the Southern Cavalry Rodeo, say like Fred Whitfield, my brother Gary, Skip, Rick, myself, Lisa, one of my nephews, bless his soul, Justin Richard, Casey. Larry Solomon, oh, he was not a family, he was not a blood member, but he came. He used to sneak out his window every night and come spend the night with us. And his mom called my mom and my dad. Mr. Shaw, Mama too. Is Larry over there? Mama said, no, let me go check. She go to the room and she come. She come. And she come back to the phone, yeah, Larry over here. That boy. But he can't be just like my brother and another young lady named Lillian Ellis. My dad took them under his arms and they became champions also. But, oh man. But I have a family right here. There's Skip Caston Jr. That's Gary. Gary, you probably seen him on TV. What's that? Catfisher. Catfish. Gary Catfish Rich, he was a PBR bull rider. Matter of fact, he was one of the oldest bull riders that won an event with PBR, the St. Louis event. And that's my other brother, Reginald. He was a bulldog and a calf roper. And that's my sister, she was a barrier. That's Lisa, that's my oldest sister. That's the oldest of the family. Like I said, the 3 oldest did rodeo. It was the 5 youngest did rodeo. And I have my sister out here. That lady thinks she's a very known well DJ. My wife also. So we did everything that we can. So once again, thank you. But one thing I just gotta say, y'all ready? My dad always had a saying, what he say? Can you dig it? Thank y'all very much. Okay, y'all come over to take a picture.
Well, thank you very much to the Richard family. Delighted to have you all here, and congratulations. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the induction portion of our program tonight, so I think we'd be remiss if we didn't put our hands together and congratulate them all with all the Hall of Fame tonight. Certainly, congratulations to those that are here tonight and those that are honored posthumously. We're delighted to have you part of the Hall of Fame now. Something they'll remain forever. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as we head down the home stretch here, I'd like to ask that the treasurer of the board of directors, the museum strategic plan announcement, please come forward. Patrice Burton has a little something she'd like to share with us all.
Thanks, Scott. How about a hand for Scott Murphy? Thank you so very much. Fantastic job. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Patrice Burton, and my hobbies are cooking and gardening. I like to cook. And that meal this evening was absolutely fantastic. How about a hand to the chef? Kudos to the chef, and also to our most wonderful wait staff. Thank you.
hold on. I need